All you do is again is push it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I don't know. Hit the back button, something. Thomas, we waiting for you.
But hey,
6 minutes late. Hey, hey, hey. What is up? What is up? What is up? Um, how is everybody doing for Wednesday? So today's live, we're diving into um, leveraging other people's audiences and platforms for growth. And so I'm gonna get straight to it so we can cover it. And in the event you missed this, just watch to the end and you're gonna catch all the details because it will be saved for recapping. All right. So when I say other people's audience or platform, I think it's important to understand. Let's first identify that. Okay, so identifying other people's platforms or audience, right? So identifying using other people's platforms or audiences can drastically vary from industry to industry. So, other people's platforms or audiences may be visitors to a physical place. It may be an actual audience in attendance at something. It may be subscribers, their subscriber list. It may be their email, which could be email, text, right? It could be web promotions, right? All these different things. It may be attendees, it may be fans, customers in the event we're talking about physical locations or a specific type of business that does have a customer base. It may be shoppers, right? It drastically can vary. One of the things that I do not have listed here but could also be another person's platform or audience are traffic, actual physical traffic, right? So if you work in a profession or if you're located in an area that is a highly trafficked place, people may want to tap into getting in front of that audience, right? So prime example, this past weekend we went out of town um, for to represent one of our clients. We took our car. Our car is wrapped in advertising magnets, right? So that is a brand new traffic audience. And one of the things we frequently do when we go new place, especially if we're in a high traffic in front of high traffic businesses or things of that nature, we almost always park right in front of the doors. Why do we do that? We do that because everybody has to go in and out this entrance just to patronize this business, right? So using other people's platforms in this situation is literally everybody's gonna see it. Some people will feed into what the magnet says, things like that. Some people won't. However, what's happening is we leverage the Walmart location's traffic to drive more awareness to what we were doing while we were in a different market for that period of time. So using other people's platforms and audiences can drastically vary based on how it's being utilized, but that is a driving source behind a lot of marketing, right? Getting the most eyes, getting the most ears, getting the most attention to whatever it is your goal is, right? And so some of the really great benefits of using other people's audiences platforms is it avails cross promotional benefits. That's a huge one. It accelerates growth, right? You may have a following of 1,000, but you being able to get in front of five other people's following of 1,000 now puts you in front of 5,000 people. 6,000 people, not including yours, right? I mean, including yours. So that'll go huge, right? If your audience is engaged, if 1,000, you already got 1,000 people engaged. Of those audiences, you may at least be able to get 20%, 1 to 20% engaged. So then that runs the risk of doubling your 1,000 to 2,000 just off that 20%, right? And so it accelerates your growth. It helps with credibility. A lot of times people use other people's audiences. It may be news, it may be press, it may be a accredited source. A big reason why people typically tap into other people's audiences is because it authenticates them. It validates or verifies what it is they're trying to represent, the message they're trying to convey. It gives them the necessary credibility for the like, no, trust factor in their pursuits, in their professional pursuits, in their goals, in their mission, in the recognition they want to have attached to them. So that credibility factor that helps increase your like, no, trust factor in a major way, especially in business. And then it can lead to higher returns on investments, right? Getting in front of somebody else's audience, it doesn't require you to go out and hand pick every single person. You now have access to everybody they have access to, right? So whether it's free or whether it costs, you now have the ability to see a return on investment just by being present, just by making yourself known to this new group, just by making yourself known to this new following, this new set of supporters, things of that nature. So the higher return on investment, and that happens from one time of you getting in front of new people. So the higher return on investment is great. It's a lower marketing expense as well, right? You getting access to somebody else's platform following, it eradicates you having to sift through and find them, right? If you're using being on other people's platforms and audiences strategically, typically you're going to do it with groups that overlap with who your target audience, who your ideal demographic, who makes up a large percentage of that target market of your own, right? Because then it lowers your marketing expense. You don't have to sift through all the white noise, all the filtering, all of the algorithms to find these people. These people are already actively engaged, aware, taking heed, feeding into somebody that falls under the umbrella of someone who aspires to reach your target audience. And so now you're sifting through a lot of white noise and you're lowering your marketing expense, because the testing process just to get to the point where you're actually reaching your ideal audience comes with its own expense. The testing process is it's an expense you normally just you chuck it up to trying to fine tune your target audience, or find them, or get the AI algorithms working in your favor. Meanwhile, when you use somebody else's audience or platform for growth purposes, they've already fine-tuned the people that align, right? Or they've been able to filter enough where more often than not, you're going to hit the nail on the head. And that's going to increase your return on investment and lower your marketing expense, because you don't have to work as hard to filter through the people that are engaged, that are aware, that are taking heed to what you have to offer to this person's audience or platform. And then it avails brand awareness, right? More often than not, businesses, professionals, right? People seeking to change careers and trying to get a job in a new position, businesses really trying to get to a level of success. The biggest issue is enough of the people who would be your potential customers don't know about you yet. So they're not spending the money with you. They're not aware of what you do. So using somebody else's audience and platform is expediting more people being made aware of you, right? If your target audience, only every 1 in 100 people are gonna convert and buy what you have to offer, well, if you only have access to 1,000, that means you're only getting 10 purchases from your 1,000. Meanwhile, you get on somebody else's platform that has 100,000, you now have 100 offers. You have 100 sales there. How much revenue could 100 sales do within a whole different demographic, with a new audience at your disposal, with a new platform of reach and added to your arsenal? It's game changing. It's game changing, right? So it avails brand awareness, and it gets you talked about in new places. Today's tip of the day, we posted how, you can't, if you're a business or social media, you can't afford to be silent. You got to be engaged. You got to be posting. You got to be commenting on stuff, and not just your own stuff. Why? Because every time you post, if your company's logo is your profile picture, guess what happens? Your company's logo, your company's name is now in the comment sections of all these different posts, all these different things circulating on social media. And that works for you because now it increases the brand awareness about your company in circulation. It increases the support. It increases the eyes, right? It increases the inquiries, the inquisitive exploration of like, well, what do you do? Right? Based on your comment or based on your logo, things like that. People may be inclined to see like, oh, that looks dope. Let me see what they hitting on over there. Let me see what's going on in that part of the world. Let me see what it is they do that they talking about text too, right? Whatever. So that's another thing. It avails brand awareness. The more people that know about you, even if they don't need you directly, it increases the chance of them being able to be like, oh, well, I came across this company that offers this, and referring you out, or at least referencing you, right? And then it's easy content creation. The greatest benefit to using other people's audiences, other people's platforms for growth purposes is easy content creation. More often than not, you're interacting, or your brand is in circulation and attachment to what their brand or their product or their platform is. And so you now literally can create content around the fact that your brand is being exposed by their brand. So even if it's just you having a post of yours get posted through their page, well, guess what? Blah, blah, blah shared my post. Blah, blah, blah shared my flyer. Blah, blah, blah shared my business branding. And that becomes its own content. If it's something that actually allows for you to be interactive, whether it's an audio interview, a physical interview, whether it's making an appearance at somebody's thing, being in attendance, actively just engaging and shaking some hands, or you just there for the red carpet, like it's content creation. And if you go into it with the mindset of content creation, well, guess what? You now have new things to get in circulation about your company as it relates to this other person's platform, other person's audience, other person's this. It's mutually beneficial. It is, and it's probably more beneficial to you if you do it very strategically, if you're making sure to capture high quality footage to use for content, if you're creating the narrative you want to align with the content as you make the content, right? It's game changing. It's so many benefits to using other people's audience for growth, and we all do it. Sometimes we're just not aware, right? If you've ever clicked on a sponsored post on any social media platform, then you have fed into somebody using somebody else's platform or audience for their goal, right? If you've ever gone to the grocery store or your Target or your Walmart and you grabbed a brand that wasn't Target brand, or you grabbed a brand that wasn't Walmart brand, or you grabbed a brand that wasn't Sam's Club brand, right? Like, if you did not buy the store brand of it, they are using somebody else's platform or audience to reach potential customers, to drive more awareness about things. If you've ever been to these stores and you've sampled or taken advantage of a sample or demo or an explanation engagement at a store that was not branded by the product or service, they're using somebody else's audience and platform. So it is very, very beneficial. If you've ever rode in an Uber or a Lyft, if you've ever done Airbnb, right? If you've ever stayed in an Airbnb, like all of these people are using somebody else's audience and platform to drive awareness to what they offer, drive awareness to what it is they do, all of these things. So it's one of those things that could definitely avail growth, and there are different levels to it. You may not be in a position where you can afford to pay a hefty advertising market budget. So using other people's audience may be events, right? It may be being in attendance at events, whether they're free events or low cost entry events, whether it's you as a vendor or whether it's you showing up at every single one of them. That's you using other people's audiences and platforms for growth purposes. It may be networking events, right? That's using somebody else's platform or audience for growth purposes. It may be getting on folks' lives and being in the comments, actively engaging. That's using somebody else's platform and audience for growth purposes. It may be doing interviews, whether they're digital interviews, audio interviews on the radio, podcast, stuff like that, whether they're news interviews, right? All of these are using other people's audiences or platforms. And this is my piece of advice to anybody in business. You should have a press release, and not just a press release for events, but you should have a press release for your business, because then you have the ability to send it out to find new potential audiences that you tap into, and platforms you can tap into to get more awareness, right? Anytime you see some type of traction on anything you're doing, like, you now have the ability, right? To tap into other people's audiences. Social media is a prime example of using other people's audiences and platforms for growth. Like, once upon a time, people used to have to be out in these streets and actively engaging, and then social media came, and now it's booming to a point where your you're Googling, or you're in Instagram search feature looking for whatever you're looking for. You're searching a hashtag before you even go out and check the yellow pages, right? It's a prime example of using other people's audiences, using other people's platforms for growth purposes. And it does require being intentional. It requires engaging with those who align with your goals, who align with your missions. It requires saying something of substance. It requires making sure to be seen, especially when nobody else is taking the initiative to be seen, right? Because those people, you're going to stand out more on those platforms, in those places, because it has very little presence. It has very little congestion and confusion to have to sift through. So, to sum it all up, using other people's audiences and platforms for growth can be very, very beneficial for a number of reasons. Accelerated growth of your own goal, missions, plans, avails cross promotional benefits. It helps with credibility, higher return on investment, lower marketing expenses, avails brand aware exposure, and easy content creation, which content is king at this point, right? You are thoroughly entertained by the most you are actively engaged with things that are the most entertaining, and that is because somebody knows how to create quality content. So just having the ability to constantly have have even just quick content creation opportunities will allow for you to elevate in your goals quicker, allow for you to progress in your goals quicker. It allow for you to apply for the positions, the dream job. This isn't just about in business. This may be financial stuff. This may be your next job or career shift. It may be assistance you need from certain types of professionals. Content is king. It makes it easy. Prime example of it in just a regular day-to-day life thing. Little Duval, right? One day he was looking for a home inspector. He used other people's audiences to get the message out to to home inspectors that could come do his job. He posted it, other people reposted it, and he used other people's audiences to get access to a resource for himself. So when I say use other people's audiences and platforms for growth, it isn't just in a business state. It can be in needs being met. It can be in professional desires and goals being accomplished. It can be in financial resources being available to you, legal resources being available to you, anything. So just think about that as well. if y'all took some value from this, be sure to share this live, share with at least one person. And once I save it, be sure to put if you make it to the end of it, if you make it to the end of this recording to get all the tips all over again, be sure to put a heart in the comment section, y'all. Put a heart in the comment section. Awesome. I love you guys to life. I hope you took something away from this Wealth Building Wednesday live. And if you did, don't have no stingy energy. Share it, and help somebody else go to the next level as well. Love you guys to life.